DZRJ 810 AM, the voice of the Philippines proudly brings you Equal Justice. Find out the hottest legal issues of the week and hear the analysis. And now, here are your hosts, Attorney Ador Tolentino.
Yes to peace, no to BBM.
Facebook yan.
Facebook. Okay, if you want to follow.
Attorney June Kicho.
Kailangan pa yun, comfort level eh.
Exactly.
And Attorney Tiki Tabuhara.
Vice President Binay, pati si Pinoy, pati si Executive Secretary. Good afternoon, Philippines. Once again, it's another edition of Equal Justice. This is Attorney Tabuhara, your host, and I'm filling in today for Attorney June Kicho and Attorney Ador Tolentino, who will be coming in later. Yes, it's another week of violence again in the Philippines, and I think it's important for us to discuss all these issues, particularly the violence which has beset our courtrooms and our judges, and those who have fallen to the victims of courtroom violence. And of course, as lawyers, we cannot help but notice that there are also a lot of incidents of violence, terrorism, and with the upcoming APEC summit this coming week, we hope and we pray that this violence that has beset the Philippines as well as other countries do not come to our shores once again. We have very important upcoming summit, the APEC summit, where a lot of our leaders will be coming in, a lot of ASEAN leaders from all over the Asian Pacific region, China, European leaders from Russia, and the United States shall be coming into the Philippines to have the APEC summit. And it is in this light that we feel that all the terrorist attacks which have been going on, particularly the terrorist attack in France today, where more than 150 people were killed by, again, Islamic terrorists, jihadists, in multiple attacks all over France. This simply goes to show us that terrorism does not pick a place to strike. Violence and crime does not pick places within which to strike, or does not choose persons against whom to strike. Rather, terrorism and violence affects everyone from all over the world, and it is not, nobody is anymore immune from terrorism or violence or crime. Just this last week, there was a judge who was the judge who convicted the Dominguez carnapping and kidnapping gang in Bulacan, was himself the victim of violence and was ambushed and assassinated right in the middle of Bulacan, where his court was sitting. And this just highlights the lawlessness and the rampant occurrence of criminality in the country. So what do we do with these particular kinds of problems? Well, as we know, the Philippines has always been beset by crime problems, and the reason why is not mainly because we have a lot of criminals and terrorists and insurgencies, but because of lack of law enforcement to curb this problem. So we have always said, as we have said before, that it is actually the laws that we have right now against crime are all in place already. We have an Anti-Human Security Act against terrorism, we have laws against murder, homicide, and we have laws against criminality. But yet, the criminals seem to be emboldened and continue to commit all these crimes and all these killings and assassinations, robberies. How do we curb, or paano natin malutas itong problema na to? That is why it is not really the laws which are the problem. Meron na tayo pong batas, no, against all these crimes, terrorism. But what needs to be done is proper enforcement of these laws. We have to enforce the laws in order for the laws to have effect. Kasi po, kung ang batas natin, kung batas-batas lang, nasa papel lang, at wala namang nahuhuli, wala man lang nakukulong, wala man lang na-charge dyan sa mga krimen na yan, tuloy-tuloy po ang problema natin. And it's so sad that to mention that even the statistics ng Supreme Court natin, dyan sa conviction rate, no, dito sa mga crimes of criminals charged before courts, ang conviction rate lang po natin sa mga korte natin sa mga crimes is only 15%. No? Napakababa po ng conviction rate. No? So, among all crimes or criminals who are charged before courts, meron tayong rate or success rate of conviction ng 15%, 15%. So, 85% of all criminals who are charged before courts are actually acquitted or pinapalaya po natin. And, you know, that's a very sad figure as a lawyer. Yung 15% success rate natin sa mga kaso natin, napakababa po ng rate na yun, no? To have a record that low, it goes to show either two things, no? Maraming mga pwede mangyari dyan. Number one is yung prosecution service natin ay hindi kanais-nais o hindi competent enough, no? Yung prosecution para manalo itong mga kaso po sa prosecution. Pangalawa po, yung problema na po natin sa judge, sa mga courts, no? Masyado tayong lenient, masyado tayong maluwag sa mga kriminal. No? In case of doubt, na-acquit na natin, malalayan natin. And this is actually a problem among police, no? Na sinasabi nila na lahat naman ng hinuhuli namin, pinapalaya lang naman ng korte, pinapalaya lang naman ng fiscal, ng prosecutor. So, saan kami lulugar? Diba? Tuhuli namin yung criminal, at the same time, hindi naman natutuluyan mo sa conviction kaya sa korte. So, that is really, those are really the problems which confront us dito sa criminal justice system natin. No? Terrorism, marami po tayong killings, no? Political assassinations, killings, and yet we still have to see people convicted of these crimes, no? Charged and convicted. Kasi pwedeng madaling sabihin na, sige, iniimbestigahan natin ito. Pinatay si Judge doon sa Bulacan, si Judge Nieves. Tapos biglang imbestigahan ng police. Wala na tayo marinig sa kaso. Ganun lang ang investigation. Nobody is charged, and nobody is arrested, and nobody is jailed. So, hanggang saan po tayo mag-titiis sa ganitong sistema? Itong si Judge Wilfredo Nieves, Bulacan Regional Trial Court sa Bulacan, was actually ambushed, shot and killed doon sa mismong MacArthur Highway, no, sa Bulacan. And he was actually the judge who convicted the notorious car theft group, itong Dominguez Gang. Kung naalala dati siguro mga few years ago, itong Dominguez Gang operating out of Bulacan. Ito po sila ay nag-kidnap doon kay Luzano, at iba pa mga biktima na I think ibang-hilista, ibang-hilista sa VACC, Local Prison and Crime Corruption, na kung saan kinidnap itong mga tao, itong mga bata na doon, under the pretext na parang bumibili sila ng used car, no? Tapos biglang makikipag-meet up itong mga Dominguez Gang doon sa may-ari ng used car, no? Na inabibenta, tapos sabay kikidnapin yung may-ari ng kotse, sabay hindi na nanakawin po yung kotse, no? Talagang susunugin pa, papatayin, tapos susunugin pa ng gas yung katawan ng bangkay ng may-ari ng kotse, no? So, ang natiktima po dito, medyo high profile, no? Yung Luzano case, anak ni Atty. Oliver Luzano, na kidnap niya sa Quezon City, no? Sa Commonwealth. And because of all these outrages, no? Nahuli naman, nagkaroon investigation, nagkaroon ng grabnet, nahuli naman itong mga Dominguez Gang, no? Suspect pa lang sila, no? And the problem is, meron din silang connection parang din sa mga militar, no? So, dun sa past investigation, the Dominguez Gang had actually ties, no, to the regional, in kaya sila nag-operate sa Bulacan because the regional, they claim to have connections, no, dun sa regional military command. Now, pag sa ganun, how do you address that problem? Kasi yung mismong law enforcers mismo dapat mag-enforce ng batas, sila mismo yung kasabwat dun sa criminal. So, ano bang solusyon dyan? How do you solve that? Kasi ang lumalabas dyan with the blessings of the military and the law enforcement, nag-operate itong mga criminal gangs na ito. Hindi naman sa lahat, may mga connection daw sila, connection is na within the ranks. So, how do you solve this problem? How do you address this problem and actually charge and put to jail itong mga, hindi lang itong mga gumagawa, pati yung mastermind na rin. So, the masterminds apparently in this slay of Judge Nieves are still at large. No? Although baka nga makita ko sino talagang nag-pull ng trigger, no? But the person who pulled the trigger is just inuutusan mo siya. Pero yung mismong nag-utos o yung the mastermind of the crime actually goes scot-free, no? Wala siyang he has no punishment, no retribution, no, dun sa tao na nag-utos. And ito, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yan. So the mastermind will just hire another person to do his dirty work, and then tuloy-tuloy na naman ang krimen sa atin. So, in order for our criminal justice system to be really effective, what we have to do really is to go after the masterminds of the crimes. No? Hindi lang yung mga small fish, pati big fish na dapat siguro, we should hold them in and bring them to justice and make them answer for their crimes. No? Paulit-ulit na po every week we hear, no, about ito mga notorious, no, heinous crimes, no, being committed. Yung tinatawag na heinous crime, yung mga tao na kataas-taasan ng katungkulan, sabay gagaling na mamahayan na tapos papatay. So, it does not really reflect on the law and order situation in our country today na napaka-baba na po ng level of trust ng taong bayan sa ability ng Philippine National Police to address and to prevent these problems and to solve them. But still, lalo mo nga po itong perception ng public pagka yung mga nabibiktima o yung mga pinapatay ay yung mga tao na may mga pagkatungkulan natin, medyo mataas na tao. Kasi ang katuwiran ng tao is if the criminals can do it, no, to a person of authority, of such authority, like a judge or isang mayaman na tao or isang mataas na isang malaking businessman, what more can they do to me, an ordinary citizen? Na wala man lang tayong protection, wala man lang tayong means of defense. No? Napakahigpit na po ng pagmamayari ng baril ngayon, pag-lisensya pa ng baril, pahirapan paano, how can you defend yourself properly? No? As we say in program, better be judged by 12, by 6 than carried by 12. No? Yan ang mahirap kasi ibig sabihin nun, you have to do what you have to do to defend yourself. Kahit sarili mo ng baril, you have to buy your own gun and license your gun. Protekta mo sarili mo kasi nga wala nga tayong maasahan natin sa mga law enforcement natin. Na sila dapat talaga mag-protection mo sa mga ordinary citizens katulad natin. So, mangyari, itong judge Wilfredo Nieves sa RTC Malolos, Bulacan, Branch 84, kinonvict si gang leader Raymond Dominguez, sentenced him to 30 years in prison in 2012. Ang problema, yung kapatid daw, at large pa raw. Yun ang problema. So, pagka gano'n, nakonvict yung kapatid, yung mastermind at large, paano gano'n na mangyayari? So, pati yung judge, binalikan. So, I understand that itong si Judge Nieves is such a low-key, no? Napaka-tahimik na tao, and very, napakabait na tao, and yet, it happened to him. He was just doing his job as a judge. He applied the law, and medyo may nakonvict na yung kriminal, medyo talagang buhay, di ba? But, hindi ka nasunal na siya, no? Pinalikan na siya ng mga kasama, mga nakonvict niya, at hindi lang sa well, maybe this question can also be answered by the Philippine National Police Patrol. Kung paano ito mga situation na ganyan, how do you prevent this situation from happening? And secondly, kung meron talaga tayong pagkukulang sa personnel natin sa PNP para ayusin itong peace and order situation natin, what solutions do you propose? How do we solve this problem? Because obviously we have a problem. And the problem is crime. So how do we solve the problem of crime? Kayo po mga kapisan, kayo ang talagang responsible to serve and protect the people. So that is your prime duty. Now, how do you apply the law and how do you enforce the law in such a way na yung ordinary citizens natin meron silang protection to serve and to protect in a sabi ng modern Philippine. Now, how do we prevent all these crimes from happening if we have insufficient number of police officers in the country? So again, as per our statistics, we only have about maybe 125,000 sworn officers of the PNP in the country, among which bawasan mo na yung mga nasa kampo, bawasan mo na yung nasa headquarters, pinakalib. Siguro kulang-kulang na 90,000 talaga active sa mga presinto, sa mga beat na tinatawag. And that 90,000 police officers are in charge of protecting 100 million Filipinos. So you can imagine, if you have 1:1,000 police officer. So 1:1,000, isang police officer po para sa 1,000,000 Pilipino. So that's, as you can imagine, napakahirap po ng trabaho nila. So we have to recognize that there is a problem with numbers of personnel, police na pwede sa atin, with respect to the 1,000 Filipinos who are relying on each and every police officer to protect them. So, pagdagan na rin din, kulang ng budget, kulang ng patrol car, kulang ng equipment, kulang ng radyo, kulang ng baril, and you see the problem. Nakikita mo problema. Meron po tayong problema sa pag-report ng crime because unfortunately in this country, we don't have the 911 line. Yung tinatawag na emergency hotline para sa mga police. Sa ibang bansa, isang tawag ko lang, nakatipid telepono, may dahil 911, meron magnanakaw sa bahay ko, agad-agad, para-parada, may wawang, may dating na police car pa. Pero dito, meron ba tayo? We have. So, ako mismo, my personal experience is that I live in the heart of Quezon City. Sa gitna po ako ng buong Metro Manila. And yet, in my place, I would not know what number to call, police hotline number to call, if I needed police assistance. Kung meron krimen na nangyayari sa bahay natin, nearby, I wouldn't know kung meron bang number yun. May nakikita ko parang gano'n, pero, I have not yet tried that. Balita ko parang hindi pa raw na hindi pa na-activate kung tatawag ka, hindi mo lang kung isasagot. So, it creates the problem na pag kailangan na tulong sa pulis, sa katatakbo, diba? Hindi na nangyayari siya sa katatakbo. Ang barangay naman, limited lang naman ang role, kasi ang barangay pulis, diba? Kung matulungan na naglalakad na part-time, diba? Hindi mo sila full-time police. So, hindi mo natin makasahan to respond when a crime is being committed, especially kung armado yung mga kalaban, yung mga armed robbers. And yung mga that just leaves, kung walang maasahan sa police na mag-responde ka agad, barangay, hindi rin maasahan, that just leaves the person himself, the citizen, the organized citizen, who is actually tasked with protecting himself. Ganun yan, diba? Pag hindi naasahan mo, hindi mo maprotektahan, then ikaw na maprotekta sa sarili mo, self-defense na tayo. And how we do that, kanya-kanya ng diskarte, pero alam mo naman kami sa program, we we are always advocating on the civilian ownership of guns. No? Kasi talaga sa tingin namin the only way in which a criminal can be stopped by the use also of force, firearms, deadly force, and siguro hindi naman ka lang laging ginagamit ang baril pagka-stop ang crime, as they say, no? Only 1 out of 14 times when you use a gun in self-defense, kinakailangan puputok ko. So 1 time out of the 14 times na gagamit ka ng baril in self-defense, kailangan mo iputok. So 13 of the other 14 instances, just the mere sight of the firearm is enough to prevent or stop the crime. Kasi usually, they will already stop doing their criminal act. Na nag-jump na yan sa loob ng studio.
Good afternoon, Philippines. Sorry, I'm quite late.
Yan, may nag-ring na siren, may mamam. Tama-tama, we're discussing itong violence and crime, no? Sa courtroom and terrorism.
You know what? Masyadong nagiging talamak yung judicial killing na tinatawag natin. I mean, killing of men. Blatant. And usually, ang circumstances dito, it could be, in all likelihood, case related. Ang masakit doon the judges are just magistrates. They just hear the cases and they dispense justice according to how they appreciate the facts, the evidence presented, and whatever available information that they...
Walang personal lang.
Exactly. Hindi naman pwede parang manalo ang partidong nag-aaway. The issues have to be decisively determined. And, where the axe falls, ganun talaga. There is always a remedy of appeal or reconsideration. Maybe you have to point out kung ano yung mali, di ba? And kung hindi ka pa rin satisfied, you go up to the appellate court. But not to kill the judge.
Ayun.
May gali. Kakaawa naman ng mga judges niya, di ba? Kasi they are always exposed to the danger.
Ang partner, ang problema kasi dito is that we are in an adversarial profession. So magkakaaway. May isang panig, may kabilang panig, and as you said, only one side can win. Hindi pareho eh.
Exactly.
And ang mag-decide kung sino panalo, yung judge.
Exactly.
Okay, now yung judge ang problema, ang dilemma ng judge is he will apply the law. And dalawa lang naman ang litigante dyan eh, yung nanalo at yung dinaya. Di ba? Ganun lang yan eh, di ba? So, nobody will admit that he lost or he failed. No? So, the level of frustration that you can see sa mga litigants natin, sa mga criminal cases, no? Binanbit yung anak ko, wala nang nasira ng buhay niya. Pamilya namin the propensity towards frustration and violence, which leads to violence, is very high.
Exactly.
No? So, in this particular case of Judge Nieves sa Bulacan, nung siya ay binarel, siya yung nakapag-convict din sa Dominguez Gang in 2012. And the Dominguez carnapping kidnap gun, which was the one who was responsible for kidnapping him.
So, do you think that is the case related to...
Maaring hindi.
Kasi 2012 pa yun.
Maaring hindi. But you have to factor in the possibility that it could be related. Kasi sila naman ang violent dyan eh. Diba? So,
yung mga incidents na... Kasi marami na yan na...
si Judge Alaba.
Judge Alaba ng...
Aurora. Binaril ng mga 1 month
September
ago.
lang. September lang siya nabaril. Na I think they are from the court already. I mean, kasama pa niya ang misis niya dyan. Ito rin, si Judge Willie Nieves din, paalis na ng Malolos area.
Pauwi na yata sa Manila.
Nag-stop na lang siya sa isang strict traffic light. Sabi, I mean, kailangan siguro bigyan na ng mga judges ng
hazard pay.
Bulletproof na sasakyan.
Ayun.
That's why, people in the judiciary, they are, I guess, they don't encourage, but I think they are contemplating on really arming themselves also to protect themselves. Kasi even I think the Chief Justice is open to that idea that somehow you have to defend, you must be able to defend yourself.
Ang naging, may advocacy.
Sharpshooter kaya si Chief Justice?
Baka. But may advocacy. I'm, of course, the Secretary General of the program,
Right.
movement. And we have always advocated, and it takes something, an incident like this, again, to emphasize our advocacy, that people or professionals who are involved in high-risk professions or who are at risk of being victims of violence or killing should be given the option to arm themselves. Okay, why? Kasi ang problema dito, as I was citing earlier, there are only 120,000 policemen, no, to protect 100 million Filipinos. Kulang
So
na kulang
parang
talaga.
1:1,000.
1,000. The standard ratio ideally would be 1:400 sa mga big cities sa Amerika, no? Which is also still not that good, no? But pwede na. Now, if you have a ratio of 1:1,000, you can see, and you magnify this with the lack of budget, the lack of police cars, communications, radios, equipment, you can see the magnitude of the problem.
Yes.
Na ganito nga, yung nangyari kay Judge Nieves, there was nobody there to protect him, to prevent the violence, nangyari. Okay, now, even journalists like us, may mga media practitioners,
Parang 8 bullets yata yung tatad sa
well,
katawan niya.
that's an overkill, no? So talagang mukhang professional yung galit na galit. So sinigurado siya na talagang patay. And partner, ito rin, I always mention this, no? As media practitioners tayo, no?
Oh yeah.
Na
Marami na rin nangyayari dyan. I mean, recently, may mga ganyang incidents sa probinsya.
we are number 3 in the world in terms of media men
Victim
killed.
victims.
Oh, number 3 tayo. Talo pa natin Colombia. Nasa likod lang tayo ng Iraq.
Number 3 tayo in the world.
Yes.
Philippine statistics on
Journalists being
being
killed.
killed because of their positions taken, in their stations or radio
Ayan
programs.
ang problema.
Okay, mag-ingat tayo.
Well, huwag naman sa no? Pero ako naman fearless naman tayo. So I just say the truth. You know, that's basically it. You just tell the truth. Whatever comes, they gano'n na. Di ba? Wala tayong magagawa rin, di ba?
As long as you are not attacking below the belt, I mean, just have to tell things like they are, di ba? Telling it like it is, sabi nga. So,
recently, no, itong ngayong araw lang na to, foreign naman ng problema natin, sa Paris, no, there was a attack na naman, terrorist
as we
attack.
speak,
150 people have been killed.
killed already.
Killed. And separate attacks to sa sabay-sabay. Sabay-sabay. So,
Is this related to the previous month's incident? Previously, may ganyang incident na naman sa Paris.
doon ako nagtataka kasi, the security problem in France, I believe, was related to that, yung Charlie Hebdo na tinatawag.
Yes,
parang
yes.
may caricature, no?
Right, yung
But
newspaper satire.
tapos na yun.
Okay.
So, I don't know why they had to continue na atakihin pa naman itong France kasi wala naman sila nakapaso sa mga terrorists ngayon eh. So, I
Maybe
think
because masyadong accommodating ang France
Maaari,
sa
oo.
mga foreigners, di ba?
Maaari.
Their policy on admission of foreigners, foreign tourists and all, they should pass.
maaari. And they are also very strict, no? They should be noted. They are very strict on gun laws. Ang France. So, ang Europe, ang Western Europe, halos hindi ka makabili ng baril, no?
Right.
Or if ever makabili ka, limited, very limited, and then nasa bahay ka lang.
Pero
So-
sa France,
Ganun din. And yet, no, in spite of these strict gun laws, these strict rules on private citizen ownership of guns, nangyari pa ito mga ganito.
I'm sure yung mga terrorist arms,
Hindi na dumaan doon sa ligaw, di ba?
Marami yan, illegal yan.
Oo, ang dala pala, assault weapons.
Yan, smuggle na yan.
So, that brings me back to the point I would like to make.
Pero definitely, I think it was airlifted yung mga high-powered guns na yan. Kasi dapat dadaan yan ng airport.
Wait, ang Europe naman, as we know, di ba? Napaka-porous ng mga borders nila, di ba? You can cross from one country or another, napakaluwag nila, oo. So, maaaring dumiretso hanggang mula sa Syria, Turkey, umakit ng Italy, yan. Kasi napakadali, di ba? And then,
Maybe closing
Dala, oo.
refugee.
oo, ang dami-dami pa naman refugees doon, ang dami-dami refugees doon, no? Pero, yung mga refugee na yan, yung
Pero I haven't monitored that in the CNN part. Ano ba talaga
Well,
is there a group already owning up to this terrorism?
well, yes, actually yes.
Sila pa rin mga Muslim fundamentalists.
Well, ang term na ginamit ng news agency was jihadist.
Kasi Muslim.
So, I guess that's what it means. Yung Muslim terrorists
Baka they still haven't really, moved on
from that
Charlie
news.
Hebdo.
Kasi sa totoo lang, partner, this was well-coordinated attack sa Paris in a theater and then several spaces sabay-sabay. And then one of them was where yung parang stadium ng football kung saan nandun si presidente nila, si Francois Hollande. He was there, the president of France was there in the stadium, which was one of the targets that was attacked. So, apparently, siya din ang tinatarget doon. Tinatarget ng
others.
Oh. So,
Kasi talagang when you saw terror
maximum with
lahat na.
Oo. Tsaka tamihan mo na, di ba? Kung mamamatay ka rin.
Sumunod to Prime Minister Hollande.
Well, I think he was able to escape, no? He was able to escape. Pero France is now under a lockdown. And then there were 150 people killed. So far, ang nabibilang pa lang.
Plus, out of the blast.
Hindi more of small arms eh. Parang small arms eh. Well, they were firing and then hurling explosives doon. So, parang suicide. Then namatay na rin sila. Yung nag-attack, namatay na rin sila. It was a death wish. Parang death wish na rin sa kanila. So, they wanted a suicide mission na maximum damage. Maximum damage. So, yan ang nakakatakot doon. Kasi if the person who is committing this crime is not afraid or is willing to die, that is the problem. Kasi wala siyang lakot eh.
Exactly. Yung, sa kanila, the honor there is how many people I can bring to death with me.
To the grave.
Yeah.
Yun ang problema. Ang sabi ko naman dito naman sa Pilipinas, to coming back to the Philippine situation, we have this, what we call this Human Security Act. Yung RA 9260.
Is that Nindulo or relatively old?
It was passed mga 2009 or 10 yata.
So before, during the time of GMA pa rin yan.
Oo.
So what does it say pare?
Well, it's basically what it says is that they define certain acts of terrorism. Pinulot lang sa mga na-vice penal code sa ibang laws to eh. Piracy, hijacking, tapos yung mga murder, arson, illegal possession of firearms. Okay, now, ang karagdagan na nitong bagong batas, which made it terrorism, is that the intent of the criminal, the suspect, is to make the government give in to a certain demand. Whether political, social, or personal. So, yun ang it makes the offense qualified as an act of terrorism. And then, partner, maganda rin din, yung penalty niya, inakyat niya to, from the original penalty, yung bailable offenses, mga 60 years, 2 years, ginawa niyang 40 years straight penalty.
Human Security Act.
40 years straight penalty.
Republic Act number 937.
Ayun.
This was, this is even earlier, 2007.
Ayun.
2007.
Ayun.
Okay, this is known as the Human Security Act.
Nagtataka ko dyan, partner, kasi yung sa tagal na ng batas na yan, it's been there for 8 years. Ang dami na nating terrorist acts. Bakit ka pa na-charge na nako-convict dyan? Bakit wala pa? Yan ang natanong ko.
Hindi lumulutang ito sa kaalaman ng mga abogado.
Baka. Tsaka, it might be
Ginagamit natin kasi, for us criminal litigators, ang default kasi natin dyan is the RPC eh. Pero dapat siguro, beyond the RPC, pag ganyan na wala tayong makita na, that the specific law that really addresses a certain criminal offense, di ba maganda siguro nga kung ano. But tama ka nga, parang this is sort of a statute that defines what are acts of terrorism.
And ang mahirap niya kasi, I think, yung naging problema. Kasi, do you remember that Zamboanga siege?
Yes.
Di ba inattack ng enemy?
Pwede dito.
Di ba? Pwede siya dyan eh. In fact, I wrote an article during that time, nung nagkakaroon ng Zamboanga siege, na bakit rebellion ang chinarge? Dapat it should have been terrorism under the Human Security Act. Parang non-bailable, di ba?
Kasi
It's an act of terrorism eh.
Right,
di ba?
dito. Terrorism defined under Section 3 of this RA 9372. Any person who commits an act punishable under any of the following provisions of the RPC. So basically, parang kinodify niya yung coded criminal laws na nga natin. So Article 122 on piracy in general and mutiny in the high seas or in the Philippine waters. B. Article 134, rebellion or insurrection. C. Article 134-A, coup d'etat, including acts committed by private persons. Article 248, murder.
Kasama, pero
as a terrorist act.
tignan yung karugtong niya, may karugtong siya.
Article 267, kidnapping and serious illegal detention. Article 324, crimes involving destruction. And then beside the revised penal code, may ano rin dito mga ibang batas, PD number 1613 or the law on RSOR, RA number 0909, Toxic Substances and Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act.
Kasi meron yung bioterrorism, yung magkakaroon ng dirty bomb, nuclear attack, gano'n.
Okay.
Mere possession lang yan, Mere possession lang yan.
Wow. Pwede kang maging terorista na pala dito.
Depende sa depende sa intent Yung corruptor kasi, dapat you have to, may caveat siya na dapat you have to, it has to be with the intent of pressuring the government, di ba? Coercing the government into giving it to a demand, di ba? So, pagka...
Tama, thereby sowing and creating a condition of widespread and extraordinary fear and panic among the populace in order to coerce the government to give in to an unlawful demand. Dapat yun yung qualifying niya. Na although these are acts already that are punishable under the specified laws, RPC, RARA, mga ganyan, still their commission, if coupled with this intention to coerce the government to give in to an unlawful demand, they will be guilty of the crime of terrorism and shall suffer the penalty of 40 years of imprisonment.
State penalty siya. Parang hindi siya reclusion perpetua.
No, it's not life imprisonment, it's not reclusion perpetua, but it's
40 years.
absolute figure ng
Saka parang walang probation yata yun, di ba?
without the benefit of parole.
Walang pang parole.
Marami actually yung mga crimes natin that are because of the nature of the crime, they are not really eligible for parole, good behavior, excessive clemency na lang.
Pero looking at yung mga partner na ginagawa ni GMA aspect niya, meron talagang kahit pa paano, meron talagang magkakaroon ng pardon if yung mga rape, diba sila kalusos, sila, diba yung mga nailabas, diba, yung mga killers, diba, nailabas natin eh. So, meron magkakaroon na rin. Even if you say na meron 40 years na yan, there will still be, unless it says in the law na wala talagang parole, diba?
Yeah.
Walang amnesty, no? Amnesty. Ang sa akin lang, my only contention is that it's good that we have the Human Security Act, but when will it be used to apply? Kasi isang stats na tingin ko in the past 8 years of the effectivity of the law, parang wala pa yata eh. May na-charge na ba? Have you heard?
Yung sa seeds of Zamboanga, ano bang demand din?
The demand was on TV, on public TV, na they want to, mali nga yung kasi, pero
Okay, in a nutshell, anong gusto nilang sabihin?
well, they
Sa
wanted
Tagalog.
gusto nilang i-establish yung Bangsamoro sa independent state na hindi binibigay.
Pero-
That's what was said eh.
Ganun. So,
Diyan sa TV, sa TV.
I thought the seeds of Zamboanga, yung mga nagganitan yung mga visuary group. Well, ayaw nga nila ng Bangsamoro ni diba, ni Salamat kasi.
Well, they wanted to coerce the government into not agreeing to the MILF peace plan. So meron talagang pressure talaga. Meron talaga intent to coerce the government. So the intention of attacking Zamboanga was to pressure the government, to coerce it into taking a different course. So pasok sa terrorism yan, di ba? And the way it was conducted, 300 fighters pumasok sa city. Ano pa ba yun, di ba? Ano pa ba yun? Di ba sila nagpipiknik mo, di ba?
Maganda nga siguro nga yan, i-test case mo yun kung magkakaroon ng conviction under this Human Security Act.
Actually, I wrote an article when that thing came out, that Zamboanga case came out, that there should have been a charge of human security violations.
I don't even know if there are already people charged because of that Zamboanga seeds.
Wala pa yata, pero nakakulong yata si Miss Wari, ang alam ko eh. Nakakulong yata eh. I think he's in jail. Or he's in hiding. Parang ganun eh. Pero,
In hiding yun.
well, the way I see it,
I don't think he was ever captured or did he ever surrender. He was never seen in the scene.
Mula early 70s, madulas na yun. Madulas na yun. Pero, you know, thinking about it, no, parang it's so, parang napaka obscene, no? for them to itong MNLF breakaway faction to have attacked the entire city, burned down all these establishments, killed so many people, wounded so many soldiers, and for them to have been able to get away from scot-free. So, napakasakit naman sa kalooban ng mga Pilipino na gano'n lang pa ngayon, di ba? Whereas yung magnanakaw ng mga cellphone sa jeep, pinakukulong natin ng pagkahaba-haba ng kulong. Di ba? Parang industry na rin.
Back to those 150 people, who were victims of the terrorist attack in Paris. I hope walang Filipino na turista or nag-resign.
Meron na partner, meron
Kasi sa sobrang gala ng Pilipino sa buong mundo, Paris, is the center of culture in Europe. Mga Pilipino doon na nandari.
Meron partner, when that thing came out early this morning, meron safety check page sa Facebook. Safety check. Na nag-check in yung iba, I'm safe, I'm in Paris, I'm safe. Nandun na, nakasulat ko doon. So, meron safety check.
At least for the family of those who are in
nag-aalala.
Yes. At least malayo
sa Facebook yun, Facebook.
Terrorism.
But still, the 150 people, kalat yun, medyo madami yun, madami yun.
Ay, 10 na nga lang, medyo, diba, 1 out of 10 chances ka na ito.
Ang nangyari kaya kasi dyan, I think 3 terrorists fully armed entered into a theater din sa Paris. Tapos pinadapa lahat ng tao, sino mga 100 people, pinadapa 200 people. Nakatulog na concert yan. Parang classical concert yata pinapanood Pinadapa, pinagbabarel, then they were throwing explosives. So, half of them I think were able to leave, pero mga 100 na nangyari sa theater.
Their chance of surviving pala na attack is 50-50.
Medyo, oo.
Kasi kung theater yan, siguro pinapamagay na 300 to
400, oo.
Tapos mga
100 na naman
alta sociedad pa yung mga nandyan. Those who are cultured, and who love watching shows siguro na mga parang Broadway style.
Well, I think it's a sad thing, because when you think about it, itong France na to has been very liberal in accommodating refugees, di ba? Kung punta ka na sa France, ang dahil mga taga-Middle East na, mga Muslim, pero they occupied the whole Paris, dami, halal yung mga McDonald's nila, di ba? But, it's sad that this is now being brought up against them now. Imbis na mag-assimilate na lang itong mga tao to, lalo pang pinaghatian yung population ng France na kung silang they're now facing this problem of failure or refusal to assimilate by persons from the Middle East or from different religions or
Pero wala pa tayo yung talagang kaalaman ko. What do they want?
Alam naman yung mga jihadi, di ba? Parang papatay lang yun, di ba? Pero itong jetliner,
Hindi kaya,
inira, that was a Russian jetliner which was downed by ISIS. Binombahan nila. So, it was actually a terrorist act. So,
saan siya nag-down?
I think it was in Egypt. And then Russian airliner. And then, it was determined by the airline investigators that a bomb actually downed the airliner and that ISIS claimed responsibility.
Talagang yung pasok sa aeroplano.
Oo, marami din namatay. More than 100 people also died.
200 yata yung yata yung plano yun. Lalo yung Boeing type.
Oo. 400.
Kasi nakakakaano. I mean, how can it get past security? Diba? Ang dami-daming dadaanan yung mga bagahe, yung bagahe na yan. You cannot carry yung mga ganyang explosive. That's enough to blow up a entire airplane as big as that.
Depende na partner ko sa airport yan. Nakakalusot.
Farming ka, di ba?
Farming eh. Kung nagtatanim sila ng bala sa Pilipinas, they can easily plant a bomb. Di ba? Di ba? So, with that, I think it's about time. So, again, thank you for joining us for this episode of Equal Justice. This is Tiki Tapuhara.
Yes, and I'm Tony Tolentino, and you just listen to Equal Justice. Till next week.